Hey guys, it's here bringing you another video and a welcome to a Challenger Spectate. We're watching, I think, at recording time, rank 3 Challenger on EU West. We're watching, is Xerath back in mid lane? Now, I will say, I have played a game of Xerath. It isn't, unfortunately, going to be uploaded because in the game, and I kid you not, all 4 of my teammates fed their mind out. I actually played okay, and I know that's always the story, but, like, genuinely, we did fine. But it was a game, like, even the audience was like, oh, hopefully you play Xerath again. It's hard, it's, you know, it'd be a hard game to judge if Xerath was okay with 4 of your teammates feeding. And I agree. So I will likely play another Xerath game, but I thought I'd just jump on and see if anybody Challenger-wise is playing it to see if there's any little things, you know, that are different. He's not really been meta in mid lane for a few years. He's obviously moved to support. But what Riot did recently in the patch was try to bring this champion back to mid. How did they do that? They did 2 things. One, and the biggest thing that made Xerath potentially back in mid, is the passive change. So the passive change now, it's a longer cooldown to get your mana back. So the auto attack that you do every X seconds, it's a longer cooldown, and that may seem like a nerf. It's a nerf to support Xerath because it is buffed through last hitting. Every last hit that every unit that you kill through a last hit, it goes down by 2 seconds. And if you're support Xerath, you're not last hitting things, you'll never get the cooldown reduction, where mid lane Xerath clearly is last hitting things. So that's kind of a way they've done it. And if you I think it's an 18-second cooldown, and then each, obviously, time that you last hit something, it's 2 seconds. So you're talking, you know, it can go to a 12-ish second cooldown, and by the time you're actually kind of killing each minion, takes obviously a few seconds. It's not much of a cooldown per minion wave anymore. You should be able to pretty much get one off every single minion wave as long as you're last hitting well, which is a good change. The second thing that they did was really, I don't know, more of a skill-based thing. So obviously Xerath's ulti is quite a long-range artillery ult, and it used to obviously start with 3 uses, and then 4, and then 5, depending the level of your ultimate. That's actually now gone up. So each ultimate is technically doing less damage, but you have more of them to hit. So instead of having 3 initially, you've actually got 4, and it goes 4, 5, 6 now, instead of 3, 4, 5. So at level 16, you will literally have 6 high artillery shots to throw. And by level 16, you'd think you'd have a lot of items as Xerath. That's a pretty good amount of damage to be throwing at, you know, a lot of people. And some people are like, so why did they even upgrade it to more? Because it's about being useful. So a lot of the time when it comes to Xerath, he's about sniping things. And if you've got one more shot, well, it's a lot of the time you don't need the full damage of Xerath ult to kill something. You get the shot off, and then you want to move to the next target. Well, this, you get to do the exact same thing. Yes, it does a bit more damage, but you should still be useful with it, and then you get to move to potentially more targets hitting more things. So it's a relatively cool thing. I enjoyed it. I did actually forget about it from memory when I played Xerath. I was like, oh god, there's another one at level 6. Worth knowing, by the way, some of the champions in this game. I did scout a few Challenger players, and I noticed Mejai jungle is starting to be played again, and Viego jungle is starting to be played again, and they're both in this game. You'll also notice the new champion, who I have yet to see in one of my games, Neferi, however you say it, she's in top lane. So I have heard through the grapevine, you could call her a little bit of a role fail, that she's designed to be an assassin mid. One, a lot of people aren't playing her mid, they're actually playing her jungle, and if you are playing her, people aren't really typically building as assassin, they're building as, like, bruiser. And obviously, if you're building as a bruiser, then maybe you can belong in top lane, and I think that's what people are kind of doing. So Xerath goes back, lost chapter first purchase, doesn't need to use teleport. Orianna did use teleport, but obviously Xerath pushed in the wave, and he's based it a good time. So they're going to kind of, you know, crash in the middle of the wave. So by the time he wanders over to mid lane, they're not going to be at his tower. He's not going to lose much farm at all. Hell, he might not even lose any. So you can see Orianna's desperately trying to push this really fast to try and get it to crash in before Xerath comes back. And lo and behold, he comes back before it crashes. He doesn't lose any farm from that base. It is an area that I personally feel I need to get better at as a mid laner, is timing my bases. Like, that was literally perfect. And yeah, it's definitely something I need to get better at. You know, I've gotten better at timing my bases with cannon waves. I never really used to pay attention to that, but I am more paying attention to that. And why is that? Well, cannon waves take longer to kill, therefore it gives you longer time to get back to the lane. Because there's an extra minion, and it's a tankier minion, so in theory it gives you extra time. Obviously, if you're against something that has incredible wave clear, probably doesn't matter, but at least in the early game it should. Enemy team may be doing dragon. Yes, looks like they are. Mejai in the area. Xerath ulti comes down, and this is like a good use of it. Look at that artillery. He just goes completely safe, artilleries it down. Orianna, though, returns to with a good ultimate. Enemy team has to be careful here, because, again, severe, good AoE damage. She can't really get caught that easily, and really nice spell shield there. She's going to try and continue a bit of DPS, but that will be that. So no dragon. It's a trade for both junglers, but the Xayah is getting quite fed. But really nice use of Xerath ultimate. You either can kind of... A nice, really good shutdown by Severe there. Again, Xayah's pinging the Nautilus, probably unhappy that he made a mistake or he went back or something. And even the Nautilus dies. Wow, that's huge by red team bot lane. Because, again, they were getting beat quite badly down there. But yeah, sorry. The Xerath aspect of his ultimate, you can use it in two ways. Similar to Karthus. Karthus, you can either ult at the start of a fight and you bring people's health bars down at the start of a fight, and that should help you win the team fight easier. Or you wait till the end of the fight when people are low, and then you might be able to snipe a few people. Xerath is the same way. You either can go really early with the ultimate and just try to hammer a couple people, get them to half health, and then it's a lot easier to kill them at the beginning of a fight, and that one is more likely to save some of your teammates from dying. Or I'd say the more common thing, especially with Xerath and even Karthus, to be honest, is they wait at the end, and then the stragglers who have just survived fights, then they try and snipe those. But I'd argue, as you just saw in that fight, backing off and using it really early is actually really effective. Part and parcel, I will say, because a lot of people are not used to Xerath, not used to Karthus's using stuff really early. Really nice stun by Xerath. That might have actually just, yeah, it did completely save at least his flash. Viego's also in the area, probably just invading the Mejai jungle. But yeah, the Nautilus, as you can kind of see, his name's Captain Hook. Funny name. Presumably is a bit discouraged from what just happened in bot lane. Obviously, his AD carry was just pinging him. They both died. So what did he do? He respawned and refused to go back bot lane. He went for a mid lane to try and get something positive going for him. You could argue, though, it's never going to paint a positive picture for you for that AD carry. I know the Xayah pinged the Nautilus. I know the play didn't go well. But now the roam has happened. It's allowed Severe to catch completely back up in farm. Oh. Oh. Oh! Oh! Oh my days! Now that is good Xerath play. Wow. And he even gets the... Oh my god! He even gets the Rift Herald. Again, I want to make it very clear, obviously, because some people, you know, unfortunately it follows Xerath wherever he goes. I used to play a lot of this champion and used to get accused of it as well. The whole thing of scripting. So why is Xerath known as a scripting champion? Any artillery long-range spellcaster is always going to have more scripts on them than not, because that's what the script does. It automatically is playing, basically. It's aiming, a robot is aiming, and it's a high-range skill shot champion. So it's literally the perfect kind of script champion. Now, just to make it very clear, this player is a challenger player. He's still got flash, so he should survive. Nice flash. Orianna will back away. This player isn't going to be scripting, and that's the funny thing. In Challenger, and I'm sure it has existed in Challenger before, Riot actually has been pretty good with anti-cheating now for a little while. But that didn't even look like scripting, but to some people it might. But just to say, these are Challenger players. They're going to be very obviously good. So there also is two camps of Xerath players as well, if that makes sense, when it comes to his ultimate. I used to be one style, and then I've adapted to the other one, because I think the other way is probably better. So the two camps of Xerath ultimate, you know, one set of players and one set of players. I'd say the main camp of players, they try to be more methodical with the ultimate. They're quite slow with casting each bolt. In theory, it can sometimes help, but I also find it makes you overthink, and you actually can end up missing, and it also gives the enemy more opportunity to dodge. And then this second camp of Xerath, which I'd say are the better Xerath players, like this guy and, you know, like the known Xerath players, they just spam the living hell out of their ultimate straight away. You could find you might be a little bit more inconsistent occasionally, but what I would say is when you're on, and, you know, every player, no matter what rank you are, you're going to have days that you're just feeling on it, and you're going to have days that you're not feeling on it at all. On days that you're feeling on it as a Xerath main or Xerath player, the spamming them is just going to give you so much more results. Because you're just on it, you're confident with aiming it, and you just get to annihilate. The Xerath ultimate again. And, you know, that's worth knowing. He missed a couple of the shots. He then, if you notice, he had a bit of a break, and then he continued spamming. That's fine too, especially, you know, at level 16 when Xerath has got six shots. You can spam the first 3. Really good stun. You could spam the first 3. You're missing them a bit. You could have a slight pause, take a breath, and then you can go again. Orianna ult's good flash by Rakan. Enemy team, I think, is a bit annoyed by how the game is going, so Viego is going really all in. He's continuing it. He probably has ultimate. Wait, did he? I'm so confused where the Viego just went. The Viego is still going. Oh, God. Again, Viego, obviously, at the time of this gank was 0-3. Tilt exists in every single rank. That play, what you just saw, the non-stop I am going for this, tilt. People, I think, sometimes don't understand. Tilt literally exists in every single rank. It exists in pro play. It affects all players to some degree. And you can be a player, and you could even be... I've had it in the comments of people going, I never tilt. You do. You may not be completely self-aware of it all the time, but you definitely do. And there's sometimes you may not define it as those days of, I'm just not playing very well today, or everything is going wrong. It could sometimes seem that everything is going wrong and all your teammates are doing bad. Those are also the days you're probably all tilted too. We all have them. I'd say as a player playing this game for as many years as I have, I know I tilt, but I'm probably in the good proportion of people that is at least self-aware, but I'm also okay at managing it. I get a little bit salty, and sometimes a bit more than a little bit salty, but I'm self-aware of it. Obviously, some people, when they tilt, they hint, they feed, they run it down. You know, everyone's a bit different. I get a bit salty, and I'm probably my biggest gameplay negative of me being on tilt isn't that I play bad, it's I don't take more opportunities that are given to me. And I've always spoken about that. The higher rating you go, what is the biggest things that is, you know, differs ranks. So the enemy team is annoyed. So again, the first play didn't go for them in the jungle. They're now back again. The hit squad of the Nautilus as well. But they've traded 1 for 1. Yes, they got the mid laner. They got the bounty. It's worth for them to do that. But you can see the enemy team's mindset of, we need this Xerath. And for that, the Nautilus roamed again. The Xayah died. So, yeah. But like I said, is the biggest difference is sometimes between, let's say, Platinum, and obviously we've got Emerald now. That has kind of mixed things up. But is opportunities. In the lower rank you go, you're given a lot of opportunities, but a lot of low-rating people don't recognize them, and they don't take those opportunities to pull a lead. The higher rating you go, you're given less opportunities because people make less mistakes, but at the same time, you're given less opportunities, but they're usually punished really hard. When I tilt, I don't recognize those opportunities. That's probably my biggest offender when I tilt, is my brain obviously goes to whatever I'm tilted about. If I'm annoyed, a teammate's feed, whatever it may be, split pushing, but I'll focus probably a bit too much on that and less on, oh, that player just made a mistake, I should have killed them. Or that player just made a mistake, I should have killed them. So you can see, look at that. The don't give an inch to the Orianna. She had to flash, otherwise she was dead. And it was because, you have to imagine, the quicker you spam them, champions can only move so fast. And if you aim them in good at proximity to each other, they're going to probably get hit by a few. It's, you know, unless they've got a dash or a flash or something like that. And obviously that's just what happened. So Xerath obviously going to get tower, which is very nice. He did obviously use the Rift Herald that he stole earlier, which is a bonus. Also, I just had this on my hand. I just would say, not sponsored, but I got this today. Don't buy this flavor. It was really bad. We bought a few flavors. Randomly, the store had the hydration ones. The blue one was my favorite. And again, they're all right. Obviously, they're overhyped and they're overpriced, but we had to try them. I'm not going to buy them again. Technically, Queen Pleb bought them. But we're not going to buy them again. We've tried them now until they've come to normal pricing, because right now they're way too expensive for what they are. But the actual, I would say, the quality, what's in them is actually quite good for a hydration drink. Anyway, Rift Herald round 2. Big Maokai ultimate, big AoE. Orianna bad ulti, only ults one thing. That's never going to go that well at this stage of the game. Xayah getting a good ultimate. Xerath is way too in the middle of the fight. The CC by Rakan and Neferi is going to come and clean, and they will get a nice ace. Bit of a messy fight. I don't honestly know how the Xerath ended up so central in the fight with also using flash. I don't know if you flashed to try and get a kill or something, when obviously the nature of Xerath is you should probably stay on the side of a fight and you're kind of hurling shots in. Neferi is going to try and finish off the Rift. Should be able to do it. Obviously, the enemy team does have vision of this, but they're not going to probably be able to get there quick enough. Interesting build. So this is partially why I did this, to kind of see Xerath. Void Staff second. Just to make it clear as well, first strike is the rune, which obviously makes sense because you're getting, when you're so high range, you are dealing, you're usually hitting an enemy first. Just reminding everybody, the bonus gold is the kind of secondary, really the secondary thing of why you take first strike on any champion. It's the 9% bonus damage, that's the big thing. So do not forget that. So first strike, magical footwear, minion dematerializer, and you can see here that they used them on one of each. So you can see plus 6%, plus 6%, plus 6%. So they have 3 of them. They used one on a melee, they used one on a ranged, and they used one on a cannon. Perfectly for range wave clear, so that is worth knowing as well. Cosmic Insight, and then Sorcerer Absolute Focus, which obviously makes sense. Mana Flow Band, just for more mana regen. Enemy team really trying. Oh, nice return gank, and that's going to be terrible for the enemy team. And there we go. They were taking a bit too long to kill, the dog. And then attack speed, by the way, ability, power, magic resist. So Xayah's here clearing jungle minions. Obviously, we did see earlier that the Xayah might be tilted. Good stun, Maokai ultimate, and boom, you're dead. So there is weird play going on. But yeah, you can see obviously Neferi's build. She does have Dustbladed Drakthar. That item is still just busted, so I'm not surprised she has that. But then, Ravenous Hydra. It's an item, it's an assassin item-ish. Like, there are assassins that buy it. Again, arguably the item is still very strong, but it's not what you consider, like, the purest of assassin build. You might consider a pure assassin build to be like Dustblade into Prowler's Claw or something. Yeah, Neferi doesn't really do that. And you can see she's got a cloth armor right now. Maybe for plated steel cap boots, maybe for a Death's Dance. Who knows? The enemy team is going to try and go for it. She's ulted to gain the bonus movement speed. Does get slowed, but they shouldn't have enough speed to catch her. And they have, by the way, opened up the base. Dragon is spawning shortly. I just saw that I do not have the objective timers on. Now we do. Bottom right, near the minimap. 23 seconds till Mountain Dragon spawns. Neferi is waiting in a bush, by the way. And I guess Cassante may have known. Big damage from the Xerath. Worth knowing, a Mejai has now been purchased. And we sometimes talk about that Viego is going to regret that. Some champions are Mejai champions, and some champions are not. Neferi overextended what she could do there. Nice Rakan. We do have Xerath ultimate. I was about to say, I'm waiting for this Xerath ultimate. And bong. And there you go. Some champions are Mejai champions, and some are not. Yuumi is a Mejai champion. Soraka's a Mejai champion. Evelynn is a Mejai champion. Usually champions that don't die that much and have an easier way of getting stacks are Mejai champions. Xerath is a Mejai champion in matchups that are okay for it. And that's worth knowing. If you're against an all-in assassin or a Fizz, which I guess is an all-in assassin, don't buy a Mejai. But the enemy team, if you actually look at their comp, they have nothing to get to a Xerath. They have no high range. The way that they have to get to a Xerath is literally running straight at a Xerath at relative medium to low range. It's an ideal situation for Xerath to buy a Mejai, because if Xerath positions well and never is in that range of a Nautilus hook or even a flash hook, just stays completely away, Xerath will rack up Mejai stacks for free. And even if it's not just by kills, even if it's I get an assist here, I get an assist here, you'll get to 25 stacks. You will make it there. And that is what's kind of happening this game. And even though Xerath has got tied the most kills in the game, also has a lot of assists. And look at that damage. It's actually pretty damn good damage. Not really sure why Orianna is that overextended. And thus, 25 stacks of Mejai's has been hit, which obviously is maximum stacks. Wow, so the enemy team, and that's maybe why the Orianna was around doing some kind of odd things, they did Baron. Nice Xerath stun. So they, yeah, the enemy team did Baron. Where the hell did Xerath go? Oh. Quadra kill. Oh. I was actually going to say, like, did he stand still to give the Penta? Doesn't look like it. And a... Oh. I don't think Severe would have ended with the Penta. I think that the Cassante would have potentially gotten away. TP to go to end the game. But yeah, so... Is Xerath back to mid lane? The answer is probably yes, but you do have to be careful. Like, look, that damage is good. Orianna with Liandry Merc Treads is not a threat. I don't think Orianna is very good in solo queue nowadays. So I will say, would this game be vastly different if it was against something more spicy? Probably, yeah. Again, I don't think Orianna has that absolute strength that is ever going to do anything to a Xerath. And maybe that's the key. If you want to play Xerath, don't blind pick it. Because then, yes, a Fizz could get picked, or a Zed could get picked, and you're probably going to struggle. If the enemy team picks something which is kind of like a neutral mage in mid lane, then maybe Xerath is back. So, like, we're talking an Orianna, a Lux, maybe even. Stuff like that that just doesn't quite have the strength. Maybe then Xerath is back. But yeah, it's pretty impressive. And obviously, the kind of caveat to, you know, talking about Xerath is... And some people may disagree with me here. He's one of the hardest champions to play in League consistently. Every single one of his abilities is a skill shot. He has nothing that isn't a skill shot apart from his auto attack. Everything is. So you're either going to be on point and you're going to land stuff, or usually you don't hit much and then you do nothing. So also, if you're considering picking up Xerath, practice. Just practice a bit. And hell, go into bot games and just, you know, aim your ultimate at bots. It sounds silly. They're not going to dodge it like a normal player. But if you can't hit them, then what's your chances of hitting an actual player? You should nearly have 100% hit rate on bots. But that is going to be it. If you guys enjoyed, do throw a like on it, throw a comment, throw a subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.
Call down the reckoning to bring back hope and peace. Restore our Gloria to live forever. Bring down the dark regime.